what is being done in Indiana to increase voting security? So Indiana's actually implemented a number of security measures over the last few years since election security was kind of put in the national spotlight in 2016. So here are some examples. Across the state, counties are doing more training with their employees around email scams. And the reason they're doing that is because that's actually how election systems in both Arizona and Illinois were compromised. They're also requiring in all 92 counties what's called multi-factor authentication protocols. So that's some extra validation requirements that you are who you say you are, that every employee has to use when they're trying to look at voter registration data. Speaking of that data, Indiana's also gone outside of government to try to shore up its election systems. And one way it's doing that is that it moved all state voter registration data to a private server. This is something that federal election security experts really recommended. They've also hired a private cybersecurity firm to do regular scans of the voting system to make sure that nobody's tried to infiltrate it, and if it is, and if they had, where, who, why, that sort of thing. And they've also worked with Ball State. Every election machine in the entire state of Indiana, none of which, by the way, are ever connected to the internet, they all have to be inspected and tested by an oversight program at Ball State. However, and this is a big however, there is one thing that Indiana isn't doing on election security, at least not statewide, and that's what's called voter verifiable paper audit trails. Now, about 2/3 of Indiana counties have electronic voting machines, and election security experts, almost to a person, stress that you need paper backups for those systems. But a lot of them in Indiana do not have them. But essentially how it works is, when you cast your vote on an electronic machine, before it's officially counted, there's a paper sort of printout that you can check to say, oh, okay, that's exactly who I voted for. The state can also use this to go back afterwards and recheck results if there were any discrepancies or issues with the technology. But like I said, a lot of machines don't have them in Indiana, and Republican legislative leaders and the governor have not prioritized funding to get those paper trails. In fact, in the last state budget, they only allocated enough money for about 10% of the machines that need them. At that rate, it will be a decade before every machine that needs it has a paper backup, unless counties find the money on their own.